If you've ever found yourself staring out the window, wondering what it all means, why we're really here, what our purpose is, or how to find true fulfillment in a world that often feels confusing or even meaningless, then this video is made just for you. Today, we're diving into one of the deepest questions humanity has ever grappled with: how to live a meaningful life. You might be thinking, meaning? That's such a big, abstract idea. But the truth is, searching for meaning isn't just a philosophical luxury reserved for thinkers or scholars. It's a universal human need. Whether you're a student, a busy professional, a parent, or anyone else, this quest touches all of us. In fact, it shapes everything from the choices we make each day to the way we cope with hardship and find joy in the little moments. In the next several minutes, I'll be walking you through some powerful ideas from the greatest minds of existential philosophy, from the despair and defiance in Albert Camus' myth of Sisyphus, to the incredible resilience taught by Viktor Frankl, to Jean-Paul Sartre's bold assertion that we are free to define ourselves and beyond. But this isn't just theory. We'll also explore what all of this means for you personally, how to apply these lessons in the chaos of modern life, and stories of real people who turn these ideas into lives rich with purpose. Before we get started, if you want to support this channel so I can keep bringing you content like this, deep dives into what really matters, please hit that like button, share this video with your friends who might need it, and subscribe if you haven't yet. Don't forget to tap the bell icon so you never miss a new video. And if you really want to make a difference, check out the super thanks button below. Your donation helps keep this channel thriving and growing. Thanks so much for being part of this journey. Now, let's face it, life can feel pretty absurd sometimes. We work hard, we chase goals, but the big why question lingers. Does any of it truly matter? This feeling of emptiness, what psychologists call the existential vacuum, is something many of us face, especially in today's fast-paced, hyper-connected world. But instead of running away from it, thinkers like Camus ask us to embrace it, to find joy in the struggle itself. Just like Sisyphus pushing his rock endlessly uphill. What does that really look like? How can the awareness that life might have no inherent meaning actually become liberating instead of crushing? We'll explore those paradoxes and discover how freedom is tied up in responsibility, how suffering can be a path to growth, and why contributing to others might be the most meaningful thing you do. We'll also look at how technology and social media impact our sense of purpose for better and worse, and why genuine human connection remains vital. Because, at the end of the day, meaning is as much about who we share life with as it is about the stories we tell ourselves. I'm excited to take you through this journey, not as some distant lecture, but as a conversation, a shared exploration. So, make sure you're comfortable, maybe grab a notebook, and get ready to question, reflect, and hopefully walk away with new tools to create meaning in your own life. If this video resonates with you, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Every little action helps this community grow and allows us to keep diving deep into these life-changing topics. And if you want to support the channel even more, don't forget about the super thanks button. It means the world and helps me dedicate more time and resources to creating meaningful content. All right, let's jump right in and explore what it really means to live a life full of meaning. Human beings have long wrestled with a profound question: what makes life meaningful? This question is not just an abstract curiosity for philosophers, but a fundamental issue that touches the very core of our existence. The sense of meaning or its absence can shape our entire experience, influencing our mental health, our relationships, and the way we confront the inevitable challenges of life. In an age dominated by rapid technological change, social fragmentation, and unprecedented access to information, understanding how to live a meaningful life feels more urgent than ever. At the heart of the modern philosophical inquiry into meaning is the recognition of an existential vacuum, a concept that captures the pervasive feeling of emptiness and disconnection many experience today. This void is the unsettling awareness that life, on its surface, lacks an inherent purpose. It echoes the thoughts of Albert Camus, who famously portrayed the human condition as a struggle against the absurd. In his retelling of the myth of Sisyphus, a figure condemned to endlessly push a boulder up a hill only for it to roll back down, Camus found a metaphor for human existence, a relentless, often seemingly pointless effort. Yet, instead of succumbing to despair, Camus urged us to embrace the struggle itself, to find joy in the act of living despite or even because of the absurdity. This paradoxical embrace offers a form of freedom, the freedom to create meaning where none is given. The power of this insight is profound. Imagine someone trapped in a monotonous job, feeling as though their efforts are futile. Through Camus' lens, the meaning does not lie in the job's inherent value, but in the conscious choice to engage, to persist, and to find moments of personal significance in the daily grind. This reorientation shifts the focus from searching for external validation to cultivating an internal acceptance of life's contradictions. Another pivotal voice in this conversation is Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor whose work underscores the human capacity to find meaning even amidst extreme suffering. In his seminal book, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl recounts his harrowing experiences in Nazi concentration camps. He observed that those who survived were often those who could identify a purpose beyond their immediate torment, a reason to live that transcended pain. His therapeutic approach, logotherapy, rests on the idea that meaning is not discovered passively, but actively created through our choices, attitudes, and actions. This philosophy challenges us to see suffering not as a meaningless evil to avoid at all costs, but as an opportunity to forge deeper purpose. Consider the story of Frankl himself, who, despite the unimaginable horrors, found meaning by envisioning a future lecture he wanted to give on his experiences. This mental projection gave him strength and hope, illustrating how meaning can serve as a psychological anchor. On a more relatable scale, many people facing chronic illness or loss find resilience by dedicating themselves to causes, relationships, or creative projects that imbue their lives with significance beyond their suffering. The existentialist tradition, especially as articulated by Jean-Paul Sartre, builds on this theme of active meaning-making by emphasizing freedom and responsibility. Sartre posited that humans are condemned to be free, meaning that we do not inherit a predefined essence or purpose, but must define ourselves through our choices. This radical freedom is both empowering and daunting. With no predetermined script, we bear full responsibility for who we become and what our lives signify. This burden can provoke anguish, but it also invites authenticity, a commitment to live in accordance with one's genuine values rather than conforming to external expectations. Take the example of someone wrestling with a career change. The fear and uncertainty that accompany such a transition stem from the awareness that this choice will shape their identity and life trajectory. Sartre's philosophy suggests that this anxiety is a natural consequence of freedom, but it also signals an opportunity to align one's actions with true desires and beliefs. Living authentically, then, becomes an ongoing project of self-creation, requiring courage to face the unknown and to reject societal scripts that don't resonate. In the contemporary world, this philosophical search for meaning is complicated and in some ways enriched by the influence of technology and social media. On one hand, digital connectivity has expanded our horizons, allowing us to form communities across vast distances and to access diverse ideas that can inspire purpose. On the other hand, the superficiality and performative nature of online interactions can exacerbate feelings of alienation and inauthenticity. The quest for likes and validation can distract from deeper engagement with oneself and others. For instance, many young people today report a paradoxical experience, feeling both hyper-connected and profoundly lonely. This dissonance highlights the crucial role of genuine relationships and communal belonging in cultivating meaning. Philosophers and psychologists alike emphasize that human connection rooted in empathy, trust, and mutual support is foundational to a meaningful life. This connection not only alleviates existential loneliness, but also provides a context in which our actions can matter beyond ourselves. Moreover, finding purpose through contribution is a powerful antidote to the self-centeredness that modern individualism can sometimes foster. Whether through meaningful work, activism, volunteering, or creative endeavors, participating in something larger than ourselves allows us to transcend the limitations of personal concerns. The stories of individuals like Malala Yousafzai, who channeled her trauma into global advocacy for girls' education, or Greta Thunberg, who transformed youthful passion into a worldwide environmental movement, exemplify how contribution can galvanize meaning and inspire collective action. Yet, the journey toward a meaningful life is not linear or fixed. Meaning evolves with our experiences, relationships, and changing perspectives. What once gave us purpose may no longer suffice, and new challenges may prompt reevaluation. This dynamic process requires openness to self-reflection and mindfulness, a deliberate awareness of our thoughts, feelings, and motivations. Such practices help us recognize when we drift away from our core values and when it's time to recalibrate. Mindfulness, popularized through practices like meditation, encourages an acceptance of life's uncertainties without clinging to rigid expectations. Embracing the unknown can transform anxiety into curiosity, turning life into an ongoing adventure rather than a problem to be solved. This mindset aligns closely with the existentialist embrace of ambiguity, where meaning is something we continuously create and reclaim rather than a final destination. Ultimately, the philosophy of living a meaningful life invites us to engage deeply with the complexities of existence, the absurdity, suffering, freedom, connection, and change that define the human condition. It encourages us to see meaning not as a fixed essence bestowed from without, but as a living, evolving project that we undertake with courage, creativity, and love. The sense of emptiness that many people feel today isn't just a passing mood or a simple bout of boredom. It is something deeper, often described by existential psychologists as the existential vacuum. This term captures a profound inner void where life seems to lack meaning or purpose, leaving individuals feeling disconnected from themselves and the world around them. Unlike temporary feelings of sadness or dissatisfaction, this vacuum speaks to a more fundamental crisis of meaning, a void that can manifest as apathy, despair, or a restless search for something to fill the emptiness. This existential emptiness can be seen everywhere, from the crowded urban streets to the isolated corners of suburban homes. It doesn't discriminate by age, background, or social status. In fact, it often thrives in environments where material needs are met, yet the soul is starved. Many who appear to have everything: successful careers, financial security, social status, may still experience this yawning void inside. This paradox reveals that external achievements alone cannot satisfy the human longing for meaning. Philosopher Albert Camus captured this haunting condition in his exploration of the absurd. At the heart of his philosophy is the recognition that the human desire for order, reason, and meaning clashes with the indifferent, chaotic universe that offers none inherently. His retelling of the myth of Sisyphus, a figure from Greek mythology condemned to roll a boulder up a hill only for it to roll back down endlessly, becomes a powerful metaphor for this struggle. Sisyphus's plight reflects the human condition. We strive, we work, we hope, yet the outcomes often seem futile, repetitive, or absurd. But rather than concluding in despair, Camus suggests a radical way to face this predicament. He famously writes, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy." This statement is both provocative and profound. It suggests that meaning is not something handed down from the cosmos or found in final accomplishments, but something created in the very act of struggling against the absurd. To live authentically in the face of meaninglessness is to embrace the struggle itself, finding joy and purpose in the effort, regardless of the outcome. This perspective invites us to reconsider how we experience our own struggles and challenges. Life may not offer us a grand cosmic meaning, but it offers us countless moments where we can choose how to respond, where we can inject significance through our attitude and persistence. For example, think about the person who faces a demanding and monotonous job. On the surface, their daily tasks might seem repetitive or meaningless, much like Sisyphus pushing his rock. Yet, if they choose to find pride in their work, to connect it to a larger goal, supporting family, developing skills, or mastering a craft, they transform that experience. The very act of engagement and persistence can become a source of meaning. Recognizing the existential vacuum is the first step toward overcoming it. It involves acknowledging feelings of emptiness without succumbing to nihilism or despair. Instead of trying to distract ourselves with superficial pleasures or constant busyness, the challenge is to pause and reflect. What is it that truly matters to me? What values, relationships, or activities give me a sense of purpose? This reflective process is deeply personal and cannot be outsourced to cultural trends or social expectations. Overcoming the existential vacuum also requires courage because it demands facing uncomfortable truths about our freedom and responsibility. In a world without inherent meaning, we're the authors of our own lives. This freedom can feel like a burden, sometimes paralyzing, but it is also a profound opportunity. The vacuum is not a void to be feared, but a space of potential where we can create and cultivate meaning on our own terms. Practical ways to navigate this void can include engaging in creative pursuits, fostering authentic relationships, or committing to causes larger than ourselves. For instance, volunteering to help others in need can provide a palpable sense of purpose, connecting us to a community and reminding us that our actions have significance. Similarly, practicing mindfulness can help us stay present and appreciate the small moments that compose our lives, grounding us in reality rather than abstract despair. It's important to note that this process is ongoing. Meaning is not a one-time discovery, but a continuous journey. The existential vacuum may resurface during times of transition, loss, or doubt. The key is not to eliminate this emptiness, but to learn how to hold it constructively, using it as a catalyst for growth and self-discovery. In today's fast-paced, achievement-oriented society, there is a temptation to fill every moment with distractions, social media, entertainment, consumerism, rather than confronting the deeper questions of purpose. While these distractions can temporarily ease the discomfort of emptiness, they rarely provide lasting fulfillment. The existential vacuum calls us to a deeper engagement, inviting us to live intentionally rather than reactively. Reflecting on Camus' Sisyphus, we might ask ourselves, how can we find happiness not despite life's absurdity, but because of it? How can the very awareness of life's lack of inherent meaning become the foundation for a life rich with self-created purpose? Embracing this paradox might feel counterintuitive, yet it offers a powerful antidote to the despair that often accompanies the search for meaning. In the end, the existential vacuum is not just a problem to be solved, but a reality to be lived with a silent companion that challenges us to become active participants in crafting a meaningful existence. Recognizing its presence can lead to a deeper understanding of ourselves, prompting us to live with more authenticity, creativity, and courage than we might have imagined possible. Through this lens, emptiness transforms from a source of fear into a space of possibility, inviting us to roll our own boulders up the hill day by day with purpose and joy. The human experience is marked by suffering. This is an undeniable truth that philosophers, psychologists, and everyday people have grappled with across the centuries. Yet, perhaps the most powerful insight into suffering and meaning comes from Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist, Holocaust survivor, and the founder of logotherapy, whose seminal work, Man's Search for Meaning, has resonated deeply with millions worldwide. Frankl's observations and theories offer a transformative perspective. Even in the darkest of circumstances, individuals can find profound meaning, and this search for meaning is what ultimately sustains them through adversity. At the heart of Frankl's message is the idea that meaning is not something handed to us on a silver platter. It is something that each person must actively discover or create. This is especially crucial when faced with suffering, loss, or trauma. Frankl's own harrowing experiences in Nazi concentration camps, where he witnessed unimaginable cruelty, death, and despair, became the crucible in which his philosophy was forged. He observed that those prisoners who managed to find a sense of purpose, whether it was a future goal, a loved one waiting for them, or a deep commitment to an ideal, were more likely to endure and even transcend their suffering. This insight challenged the prevailing belief that survival depended mainly on physical strength or external circumstances. Instead, survival hinged on one's ability to find meaning. Logotherapy, Frankl's therapeutic approach, is centered on the will to meaning, the fundamental human drive, not just for pleasure or power, but for purpose. Unlike Freud's focus on pleasure or Adler's on power, Frankl asserted that the primary motivational force in humans is the search for meaning. This makes sense when considering that people who feel their lives lack meaning often experience despair, depression, or what Frankl termed the existential vacuum. Conversely, when individuals discover a meaningful reason to live, they can endure hardship with resilience and even transform suffering into a catalyst for growth. One of the core principles of logotherapy is that meaning can be found in three main ways: through creating a work or doing a deed, through experiencing something or encountering someone, such as love, and through the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. This last point is crucial because it acknowledges that while we may not always control our circumstances, we retain the freedom to choose our response. Frankl famously illustrated this with examples of prisoners who, despite their horrific conditions, refused to succumb to despair, maintaining inner freedom and dignity. To understand this in a more familiar context, consider the story of Malala Yousafzai. Malala, a Pakistani activist for girls' education, survived an assassination attempt by the Taliban. Despite her suffering, she turned her trauma into a global movement advocating for education and equality. Her story exemplifies Frankl's notion that meaning can be found even in extreme suffering when one commits to a cause larger than oneself. Rather than becoming a victim defined by her pain, Malala chose to make her suffering a source of strength and purpose. On a more personal level, many individuals who face chronic illnesses or life-altering injuries report finding new meaning in their struggles. For example, someone diagnosed with a debilitating disease might initially feel overwhelmed and lost. However, through support groups, creative outlets, or advocacy, they often discover a renewed sense of purpose. Whether it's raising awareness, helping others with similar conditions, or simply embracing life's small joys with greater appreciation. This transformation from victimhood to agency echoes Frankl's teaching that suffering is not meaningless if met with the right attitude. Another illustrative example is that of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison during apartheid in South Africa. Rather than allowing imprisonment to destroy him, Mandela found meaning in his suffering by focusing on the larger goal of racial equality and reconciliation. His ability to maintain hope and a sense of purpose in the face of relentless hardship became a beacon for millions and ultimately led to profound social change. Mandela's life embodies Frankl's idea that meaning is not dependent on external circumstances, but is discovered through inner resolve and commitment. Frankl also emphasized that suffering in itself is not a necessary condition for meaning, but when suffering is unavoidable, it presents an opportunity. This nuance is important because it does not romanticize pain or suggest that we should seek it out. Instead, it invites us to reconsider our relationship with suffering when it inevitably occurs. For example, someone who loses a loved one may find meaning by honoring their memory through charitable work or by deepening their relationships with others. These actions transform grief into a source of motivation and connection. In therapeutic settings, logotherapy helps individuals who feel lost or empty to identify what matters most to them, guiding them toward purposeful goals or attitudes. This process can be especially powerful for those grappling with depression or suicidal thoughts. By reconnecting with meaning, whether through personal values, relationships, or future aspirations, patients often find renewed strength to face life's challenges. The broader cultural relevance of Frankl's insights can also be seen in popular media and literature that explore themes of resilience and meaning-making. Movies like The Pursuit of Happiness, which depicts the true story of Chris Gardner's struggle with homelessness while raising his son, resonate because they illustrate the human capacity to endure hardship by focusing on purpose. Gardner's relentless pursuit of a better life, despite numerous setbacks, echoes the logotherapeutic emphasis on finding meaning through action and hope. Frankl's legacy challenges the pervasive cultural narrative that happiness is primarily about comfort, pleasure, or success. Instead, it positions meaning as the cornerstone of psychological well-being and survival, in a society often obsessed with avoiding pain. His work reminds us that meaning can transform suffering from an insurmountable obstacle into a source of strength and growth. Ultimately, the lessons from Man's Search for Meaning and logotherapy offer a hopeful perspective on human resilience. They encourage us not to deny suffering or pretend it doesn't exist, but to face it head-on with the conviction that we can find purpose even in the darkest moments. This approach empowers individuals to reclaim agency, affirm their values, and live with courage and dignity, regardless of life's hardships. In sum, Viktor Frankl's profound contribution lies in revealing that the quest for meaning is an essential human drive that can sustain us through pain and adversity. Whether through love, work, or the attitude we adopt towards suffering, meaning is within reach for anyone willing to seek it. His work continues to inspire those struggling with life's challenges, offering a roadmap for turning suffering into a meaningful, transformative journey. The idea of freedom as both an opportunity and a burden lies at the heart of Jean-Paul Sartre's existential philosophy. Sartre famously declared that existence precedes essence, which means that unlike objects or animals that have predetermined purposes or functions, human beings first exist and then create their essence through choices and actions. This radical freedom to define ourselves is at once empowering and deeply challenging. It places the responsibility for who we become squarely on our own shoulders, forcing us to confront the fact that we cannot blame external forces, fate, or any fixed nature for the life we lead. We are condemned to be free, in Sartre's words. And this condemnation is not a blessing, but a weighty burden. The concept of freedom here is not simply the ability to do whatever we want. Instead, it is a profound freedom of self-creation, where each decision carries the weight of defining our identity and values. Every choice we make contributes to the person we are becoming. This level of freedom is liberating because it affirms our agency, yet it also introduces a unique form of anxiety, often called anguish or existential anxiety. This anguish arises from the realization that with no external guide or blueprint, we are fully responsible for our lives. The absence of predetermined meaning means that every choice matters. and that it is up to us to give life significance. This anxiety can be paralyzing. Imagine standing at a crossroads with countless paths ahead, each one shaping your future in profound ways. The pressure to choose wisely can be overwhelming. Unlike decisions about trivial matters, choices about how to live, what career to pursue, what relationships to build, what values to uphold are laden with consequences not just for the moment, but for our entire identity. Sartre argued that this burden often leads people to flee from freedom, seeking refuge in bad faith. Bad faith involves self-deception, pretending that we don't have freedom or that our identity is fixed by external factors. It is a way to avoid the terrifying responsibility of choice by denying our own agency. An example of bad faith might be someone who stays in an unfulfilling job simply because they convince themselves that they have no other option, or someone who blames their background or circumstances for who they are without acknowledging their capacity to change. This denial of freedom may offer temporary relief, but ultimately leads to inauthenticity, a life lived according to others' expectations or societal roles rather than one's true self. Living authentically, in Sartre's view, requires embracing freedom and the responsibility that comes with it. Authenticity is the courage to accept that we are the authors of our own existence, to make choices aligned with our deepest values, and to own the consequences without shifting blame. It means resisting the temptation to conform simply for comfort or acceptance, and instead creating a life that genuinely reflects who we are. This is no easy task. Authenticity demands continuous self-reflection and honesty, especially in the face of social pressures and internal doubts. Consider the story of someone who chooses to leave a lucrative but soul-draining corporate career to pursue a passion in the arts or social work. This decision, while potentially risky and unsettling, represents a commitment to authenticity. It may provoke anxiety and uncertainty about the future, but it also affirms the individual's freedom to define what a meaningful life looks like. In contrast, staying in the corporate world for the sake of security or approval might offer comfort, but can lead to feelings of emptiness or regret. Sartre's emphasis on self-definition also challenges the notion of fixed identities based on race, gender, class, or nationality. While these factors influence our experiences, they do not determine our essence. We have the freedom to transcend imposed labels and to reinvent ourselves continuously. This perspective is liberating, but also demands a high level of personal responsibility. It rejects deterministic views and calls for active engagement in shaping our lives. From a personal standpoint, living authentically, as Sartre describes, is a lifelong journey rather than a fixed destination. It involves moments of doubt, failure, and redefinition. Embracing this process requires resilience and the willingness to face discomfort. Authenticity does not guarantee happiness or ease, but promises a life lived with integrity and self-respect. Furthermore, Sartre's philosophy highlights the relational aspect of freedom. Our choices not only define us, but also affect others, creating a web of interconnected responsibility. This recognition encourages ethical reflection about how our freedom intersects with the freedoms of others. It compels us to consider the impact of our actions and to act with an awareness of shared humanity. In everyday life, the tension between freedom and responsibility manifests in countless decisions, from small interactions to major life changes. Navigating this tension with authenticity can lead to a richer, more fulfilling existence, even if it involves struggles and sacrifices. It means embracing uncertainty and the unknown as inherent parts of human freedom. Ultimately, Sartre's exploration of freedom and self-definition invites us to reclaim our power as creators of meaning. It challenges us to move beyond victimhood or passivity and to actively participate in the ongoing project of becoming. While the burden of freedom can be heavy, it is also the source of profound human dignity, the dignity of shaping our own lives and standing accountable for who we are. In today's hyper-connected world, technology and social media have fundamentally reshaped the way we experience life, communicate, and, crucially, search for meaning. The digital revolution has brought with it both unprecedented opportunities and profound challenges that touch every aspect of our existence, especially our inner lives and sense of purpose. The internet, smartphones, and platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok have transformed social interaction into something that happens simultaneously across the globe, often in real time. While this has created new avenues for connection, expression, and activism, it has also introduced complexities that complicate the search for genuine meaning. On one hand, technology offers tools to bridge distances and foster communities that would otherwise be impossible to form. For example, people with niche interests, marginalized groups, or those living in remote areas can find others who share their values and passions, creating virtual spaces of belonging and support. Online forums for mental health, advocacy groups, or hobbyist communities provide people with opportunities to connect meaningfully, exchange ideas, and collaborate on causes larger than themselves. This expanded social reach can cultivate a sense of purpose, particularly for those who may feel isolated in their immediate physical surroundings. Moreover, social media has democratized voice and visibility. It allows ordinary individuals to tell their stories, raise awareness, and mobilize support. Movements such as #BlackLivesMatter, #MeToo, and climate activism have gained global traction largely through the viral power of online platforms. For many participants, engaging with these movements brings a profound sense of meaning derived from contributing to social change and standing in solidarity with others. This form of digital engagement illustrates how technology can amplify the human drive for connection and significance. Yet, this new landscape is not without its pitfalls. The very tools that enable connection can also foster disconnection, alienation, and distortion of reality. One of the paradoxes of social media is that while it connects billions, it often leaves users feeling lonelier and more disconnected than ever. The curated nature of online profiles tends to highlight idealized versions of life, filtered photos, selective achievements, and carefully crafted personas, which can lead to unhealthy comparisons and feelings of inadequacy. The pressure to perform and gain approval through likes, shares, and comments can shift focus from authentic self-expression to seeking external validation. This phenomenon contributes to what psychologists call social media fatigue or digital burnout, where users experience anxiety, depression, and decreased self-esteem tied to their online interactions. Studies have shown correlations between heavy social media use and increased rates of mental health issues, especially among younger generations. The constant bombardment of information and the addictive design of many platforms can distract from introspection and meaningful offline relationships, which are vital for a grounded sense of self. A widely recognized example is the rise in teen anxiety and depression coinciding with the explosive growth of social media platforms like Instagram. Many teens report feeling pressure to maintain a certain image online, leading to stress and a distorted sense of self-worth. This illustrates how the pursuit of connection via digital means can sometimes undermine the very purpose it's meant to serve, fostering genuine human bonds and self-understanding. On the flip side, technology also offers powerful tools for self-exploration and personal growth when used mindfully. Meditation apps, online courses, virtual therapy sessions, and digital journaling platforms can support individuals in their journey toward meaning. People can access wisdom from spiritual teachers, philosophers, and psychologists worldwide, broadening their understanding and helping them cultivate practices like mindfulness and gratitude. When balanced with offline engagement, technology becomes a resource that enhances rather than detracts from the quest for meaning. At the core of the search for meaning is authentic connection, relationships grounded in empathy, trust, and shared experience. While social media can facilitate introductions and maintain long-distance bonds, it cannot replace the depth of face-to-face interactions. The spontaneous, unfiltered moments of presence and vulnerability that occur in physical communities are essential for developing a strong sense of belonging and purpose. Real-world communities, families, close friends, workplaces, and neighborhoods provide the emotional soil where meaning takes root. For instance, volunteering locally, participating in group activities, or simply sharing daily life with others creates context and continuity that digital interactions often lack. In these settings, people witness each other's struggles and joys firsthand, fostering mutual support that transcends the superficiality of online likes. This direct engagement nurtures a shared identity and collective purpose, which research consistently links to improved mental health and life satisfaction. A poignant example of this dynamic is the rise of digital detox movements where individuals deliberately unplug from social media to reconnect with themselves and their immediate communities. Many report a renewed sense of clarity, presence, and fulfillment after reducing their screen time. This suggests that while digital connections can be valuable, they must be balanced with meaningful in-person relationships to truly nourish the human need for connection and meaning. The dual nature of social media's impact is also evident in how misinformation and echo chambers influence our worldview and sense of meaning. Algorithms that prioritize engagement often create feedback loops that reinforce existing beliefs and biases, sometimes leading to polarization and social fragmentation. This fragmentation can erode trust and shared values, making it harder to find collective meaning or work toward common goals. In this sense, the very technology that connects us can also divide us, complicating our ability to build communities that foster authentic belonging. In sum, the influence of technology and social media on the search for meaning is multifaceted and profound. These tools expand our capacity to connect, learn, and engage in meaningful causes, offering new pathways to purpose and belonging. However, they also present challenges, distorted self-images, addictive behaviors, social isolation, and divisive dynamics that can undermine our inner lives and communal bonds. Navigating this complex terrain requires intentionality, self-awareness, and a commitment to fostering genuine relationships, both online and offline. Ultimately, the quest for meaning in a connected world calls us to balance the virtual and the real, to use technology as a bridge rather than a barrier, and to remember that while digital likes can be fleeting, the profound connections forged through authentic human interaction endure. By cultivating communities rooted in empathy and shared purpose, both in the physical world and the digital realm, we can harness the power of technology to enrich our lives rather than diminish them, turning our connectedness into a source of lasting meaning and fulfillment. The search for meaning often leads beyond the self, inviting us to find purpose through contribution and service to something larger than ourselves. This transcendence, moving past our individual concerns to engage with the wider world, is a powerful source of fulfillment and significance. When people commit to causes, work, or creative endeavors that have a positive impact on others or society, they tap into a deep well of meaning that reinforces their sense of identity and belonging. This idea that meaning emerges through contribution resonates across cultures and philosophical traditions, highlighting the interconnectedness of human existence. At its core, contributing to society is a way of affirming our shared humanity. It acknowledges that our lives are part of a larger fabric, woven together by mutual support and collective endeavor. This recognition transforms personal struggle into a shared journey, giving our efforts a resonance beyond immediate gratification. Meaning derived from contribution is not merely about achieving personal goals, but about participating in a process that benefits others and leaves a lasting imprint. Work, for many people, is a primary arena where this sense of contribution and meaning unfolds. While employment is often viewed through the lens of income or status. The deeper satisfaction comes from the recognition that one's labor makes a difference. Whether it's a teacher shaping young minds, a nurse caring for patients, or an artist creating works that inspire, the act of contributing through work affirms our value and connects us to the broader community. This connection is vital because it roots us in a network of relationships and purposes that extend beyond individual desires. Social activism is another powerful avenue for meaningful contribution. Individuals and groups who dedicate themselves to causes such as civil rights, environmental protection, or social justice often report a profound sense of purpose tied to their efforts to create positive change. This form of contribution involves aligning personal values with action, turning belief into impact. It is a commitment that requires resilience and courage, as activists frequently face resistance and setbacks. Yet, the meaning derived from advancing a cause that reflects deeply held convictions can sustain individuals through challenges and inspire collective momentum. Creativity also offers a unique pathway to meaning through contribution. Artists, writers, musicians, and creators of all kinds engage in acts of giving that enrich culture and human understanding. Their work often articulates shared experiences, provokes thought, and opens new perspectives. This creative contribution invites both the creator and the audience into a dialogue that transcends time and place. For the creator, the act of making something that resonates with others affirms their existence and impact on the world. A compelling example of meaningful contribution can be found in the life of Fred Rogers, the beloved host of the children's television program, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Rogers dedicated his career to nurturing kindness, empathy. His work was not driven by fame or fortune, but by a deep commitment to supporting the emotional well-being of his audience. Through his gentle demeanor and thoughtful programming, he created a legacy of compassion and understanding that continues to influence society. Rogers' life illustrates how dedication to serving others, even in seemingly modest ways, can generate profound and lasting meaning. Similarly, Malala Yousafzai's story exemplifies how contribution through activism can transform personal adversity into global impact. After surviving an assassination attempt for advocating girls' education, Malala became a symbol of courage and a vocal advocate for educational rights worldwide. Her efforts have mobilized millions and brought attention to issues often marginalized in global discourse. This form of contribution, born from personal experience and conviction, demonstrates how individual commitment can ripple outward to inspire collective change. Volunteerism provides another accessible and powerful way to find meaning through contribution. Whether it's helping a local food bank, mentoring youth, or participating in community cleanup efforts, volunteering connects individuals to causes that matter and fosters a sense of belonging. The personal fulfillment gained from making a tangible difference in others' lives reinforces a positive identity and counters feelings of isolation or purposelessness. In workplaces that encourage social responsibility and community engagement, employees often report higher job satisfaction and meaning. Companies that support charitable initiatives or foster environments where employees can contribute to social causes tap into this human desire for significance. The trend toward corporate social responsibility reflects a growing recognition that meaning in work comes not only from profits, but from positive societal impact. The role of contribution in meaning-making also intersects with psychological theories, such as self-determination theory, which highlights relatedness, feeling connected to others as a fundamental human need. When our actions contribute to the welfare of others, we fulfill this need and experience enhanced well-being. This explains why altruistic behaviors, even small acts of kindness, can elevate mood and life satisfaction. Moreover, contribution often demands sacrifice and effort, which paradoxically can deepen the sense of meaning. Overcoming obstacles in pursuit of a cause or a creative project reinforces a narrative of growth and resilience. The challenges faced become part of the story that gives life coherence and significance. In the arts, the story of Vincent van Gogh illustrates how creative contribution can resonate beyond immediate recognition. Despite a life marked by struggle and lack of widespread acclaim, Van Gogh's paintings have inspired millions, reflecting a profound contribution to human culture and emotional expression. His persistence in creating despite adversity speaks to the enduring power of creativity as a source of meaning. On a community level, grassroots organizations and local leaders often demonstrate the impact of collective contribution. Neighborhood groups working to improve safety, schools fostering inclusive education, and activists promoting environmental sustainability exemplify how coordinated efforts create tangible benefits and foster shared identity. These collective contributions build social capital and enhance communal meaning, showing that meaning is not just an individual pursuit, but a social one. In personal relationships, too, contribution is vital. Supporting family members, nurturing friendships, and being present for others during difficult times are forms of contribution that build emotional bonds and shared meaning. These acts remind us that meaning is often found in the everyday interactions that affirm our care and commitment. The stories of individuals like Fred Rogers and Malala Yousafzai, as well as countless unsung volunteers and creators, emphasize that contribution is accessible to all, regardless of fame or status. The meaningful impact of contribution arises not from scale, but from sincerity and commitment. Whether through work, activism, creativity, or everyday kindness, the act of giving to others is a powerful pathway to a life rich with meaning. Ultimately, meaning through contribution reflects a fundamental human truth. We are not isolated beings, but interconnected participants in a shared world. By reaching beyond ourselves to serve others, create, and engage with causes that matter, we affirm our place in this web of life and craft a legacy that endures. This process transforms the search for meaning from an individual quest into a collective journey, enriching both the giver and the community in profound and lasting ways. The journey of seeking and recreating meaning is a continuous, evolving process that shifts as we move through different stages of life. Meaning is not a static destination we arrive at once and for all. Instead, it transforms as our circumstances, perspectives, and priorities change. From youth through old age, the sources and expressions of meaning may vary, requiring us to adapt and renew our sense of purpose continuously. In early adulthood, meaning often revolves around identity formation, career choices, relationships, and the pursuit of personal goals. It is a time marked by exploration and experimentation, where we test different roles and values to discover who we are and what matters most. Success in education, establishing a career, and forming intimate partnerships tend to be significant anchors of meaning during this phase. However, the meaning we derive here is often provisional, subject to reevaluation as life unfolds. As we transition into midlife, many people experience a shift in how they understand meaning. This stage is often associated with reflection on accomplishments, reassessment of goals, and sometimes existential questioning, commonly referred to as a midlife crisis. People may feel compelled to ask whether their life has been fulfilling or whether they have neglected important aspects of themselves. This period can bring a renewed focus on legacy, contribution to others, and deeper personal growth. Some find new meaning in mentoring, community involvement, or creative pursuits, while others may seek to repair relationships or make significant life changes. The fluidity of meaning during midlife illustrates that our sense of purpose is not fixed, but responsive to our evolving inner and outer realities. Later in life, meaning may shift again toward acceptance, gratitude, and reflection on the broader arc of one's existence. Older adults often derive meaning from relationships with family and friends, spiritual or philosophical contemplation, and the transmission of wisdom to younger generations. Facing mortality more directly can deepen appreciation for life's fleeting moments and motivate a focus on connection and presence. This phase emphasizes meaning as a lived experience, not just a goal to achieve. Throughout these stages, mindfulness and self-reflection play crucial roles in helping us navigate the changes in meaning. Mindfulness, the practice of paying deliberate, non-judgmental attention to the present moment, grounds us in awareness of our thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations. This heightened awareness allows us to notice when our current sources of meaning no longer resonate or when external pressures have led us away from authentic values. Through mindfulness, we cultivate a compassionate relationship with ourselves, acknowledging our struggles and uncertainties without harsh judgment. Self-reflection complements mindfulness by providing space to examine our experiences critically and thoughtfully. It involves asking questions like, what truly matters to me? How have my values evolved? What aspects of my life bring joy and fulfillment? Regular self-reflection can reveal patterns, help clarify priorities, and illuminate paths toward renewed purpose. Together, mindfulness and reflection foster adaptability, enabling us to embrace change rather than resist it. Learning to accept uncertainty is another vital component of sustaining meaning over time. Life is inherently unpredictable, and clinging to rigid expectations can lead to frustration and disillusionment. Embracing uncertainty means recognizing that we cannot control every outcome and that ambiguity is a natural part of the human condition. This acceptance allows us to engage with life more fully, without being paralyzed by fear of the unknown. Finding joy in the journey, rather than fixating solely on end goals, is a practice aligned with this acceptance. When we savor small moments, cultivate curiosity, and remain open to new experiences, meaning becomes embedded in the process of living itself. This shift from goal-oriented thinking to present-moment engagement mirrors insights from various philosophical and spiritual traditions that emphasize presence as the essence of a meaningful life. An example of this evolving relationship with meaning can be seen in the life of Maya Angelou, the renowned poet and activist. Throughout her life, Angelou's sources of meaning shifted from personal survival and artistic expression in her younger years to mentorship, activism, and spiritual reflection later on. She spoke often about the importance of embracing change and viewing life as a continual unfolding. Her ability to find meaning through different phases, adapting to new roles and challenges, exemplifies the dynamic nature of meaning. In practical terms, cultivating mindfulness and reflection can involve practices such as meditation, journaling, therapy, or simply dedicating quiet time for contemplation. These activities help create mental space for processing life's complexities and recognizing the fluidity of our purpose. For instance, journaling can be a powerful tool for tracking shifts in priorities and emotions, offering insight into how our sense of meaning transforms. Additionally, fostering resilience through acceptance and presence equips us to face life's inevitable hardships with grace. Instead of resisting difficulties or trying to impose false certainty, we learn to navigate uncertainty with openness. This mindset not only reduces suffering, but opens pathways for growth and new meaning to emerge from adversity. In relationships, this evolving meaning manifests as well. The way we connect with others changes over time, and nurturing those connections with presence and authenticity enriches our shared experience of meaning. Being attentive and responsive to the needs and transformations of loved ones helps sustain bonds that support our ongoing search for significance. Ultimately, the journey of continuously seeking and recreating meaning is a testament to human adaptability and depth. It acknowledges that life's meaning is not fixed but a living, breathing process that calls for awareness, courage, and openness. By embracing the shifting nature of meaning, practicing mindfulness and reflection, and accepting uncertainty, we can find joy not only in the milestones but in every step along the path. This approach transforms the quest for meaning from a distant goal into an enriching, ever-unfolding experience that defines the human condition. Living a meaningful life in the modern world is a complex, dynamic endeavor shaped by a variety of forces, internal and external, philosophical and practical. Throughout the exploration of existential emptiness, the search for purpose amid suffering, the burden and liberation of freedom, the impact of our hyper-connected world, and the transformative power of contribution, a rich tapestry of understanding emerges. This synthesis reveals that meaning is neither a fixed destination nor a simple formula. Rather, it is a continually evolving process crafted through choices, attitudes, and relationships. One of the most fundamental insights is that the absence of inherent meaning in life is not a cause for despair, but an invitation to creative engagement. The existential vacuum many experience reflects a void that can feel overwhelming. Yet this emptiness also opens space for self-authorship, like Sisyphus who finds joy in his eternal struggle. Individuals can embrace life's challenges and uncertainties as opportunities to define their own purpose. This reframing transforms the struggle against absurdity into a source of empowerment. Suffering, often seen as purely negative, is recontextualized as a potential gateway to meaning. Viktor Frankl's experiences and logotherapy illuminate how humans can find profound purpose in the face of hardship by choosing their attitudes and actions. Meaning derived from suffering is not gratuitous. It is born of resilience, agency, and a commitment to values beyond immediate pain. Stories from Malala Yousafzai to Nelson Mandela exemplify how individuals turn adversity into a force for good, inspiring others and forging legacies. Freedom, as Sartre articulates, is both a blessing and a burden. The responsibility to define oneself without preordained essence can provoke anxiety, yet it simultaneously offers the dignity of authorship over one's life. The tension between freedom and responsibility calls for authenticity, a conscious choice to live in alignment with deeply held values despite societal pressures or fears. Authentic living demands courage, ongoing reflection, and acceptance of uncertainty. The digital age adds complexity to this quest for meaning, offering unprecedented connectivity and platforms for expression, but also challenges like alienation, comparison, and distraction. The balance between online and offline engagement, between virtual communities and face-to-face relationships, is crucial for sustaining genuine connection and well-being. Social media's double-edged influence reminds us that while technology can expand the scope of meaning, it cannot replace the depth of human presence and empathy. Meaning through contribution emerges as a powerful antidote to isolation and self-centeredness. Whether through work, activism, creativity, or everyday acts of kindness, contributing to the welfare of others connects individuals to something greater than themselves. This outward focus nurtures a sense of belonging and significance that enriches both giver and receiver. The lives of Fred Rogers, Malala Yousafzai, and countless volunteers affirm that meaningful impact transcends fame or scale. It arises from sincere dedication. The ongoing journey of meaning-making underscores the necessity of mindfulness, self-reflection, and acceptance of life's inherent uncertainty. Meaning shifts over time, shaped by growth, loss, and changing contexts. Embracing this fluidity allows individuals to adapt, renew purpose, and find joy not only in achievements, but in the unfolding experience of life itself. The practice of presence, curiosity, and openness cultivates resilience and deepens the appreciation of everyday moments. Drawing these threads together, several lessons become clear. Meaningful living requires an active stance, one that acknowledges freedom and responsibility, embraces struggle and uncertainty, fosters authentic connections, and commits to contribution beyond the self. It demands a willingness to look inward with honesty and outward with compassion, balancing personal growth with communal engagement. This holistic approach aligns with the deepest human longings for significance, belonging, and legacy. For those navigating the complexities of contemporary life, this synthesis offers both guidance and inspiration. It encourages embracing the paradoxes of existence, the absurdity alongside joy, suffering alongside growth, freedom alongside anxiety. It calls for cultivating practices that ground us in the present, such as mindfulness and reflection, while also engaging boldly with challenges and opportunities. It invites a continual renewal of purpose, adapting to life's changes with courage and grace. In practical terms, living meaningfully might involve setting intentional goals aligned with personal values, seeking relationships that nurture authenticity, contributing to causes that resonate deeply, and carving out space for self-awareness amidst the noise of modernity. It also means being gentle with oneself during periods of doubt and recognizing that the search for meaning is a shared human journey, not a solitary burden. Ultimately, this exploration is a call to action, a reminder that meaning is neither given nor guaranteed, but created moment by moment through our choices and commitments. Each individual holds the power to shape their narrative, to find or create significance in their unique circumstances, and to contribute to a world in need of purpose and compassion. By embracing this responsibility with openness and courage, we can transform not only our own lives, but also inspire others to embark on their own meaningful journeys. Wow, what a journey we've been on together. We've touched on the profound emptiness that can sometimes shadow our lives, how that emptiness can be transformed into a wellspring of meaning through courage, choice, and connection. We've learned from legends like Viktor Frankl, who taught us that even in the darkest moments of suffering, meaning is within reach, not given to us, but created by how we respond. We've seen how Sartre's idea of radical freedom isn't just scary responsibility, but the incredible opportunity to author our own lives authentically. And as we've discussed, in today's world of constant digital connection, the challenge to find genuine purpose is more urgent than ever. But it's also a chance to use these tools wisely, to build communities, and to contribute in ways that go far beyond ourselves. Remember the stories of real people, Fred Rogers, dedicating decades to kindness and understanding. Malala turning personal tragedy into global advocacy. These examples show us that meaning isn't about grandeur or fame, but about sincere dedication, connection, and service. It's about choosing to act in accordance with what truly matters to you. As you reflect on this, I invite you to think about your own life. What small or big ways can you bring meaning into your everyday? What struggles can you face differently, knowing that your attitude and choices can create significance? How can you nurture real connections and contribute to your community, family, or a cause that ignites your passion? If this video sparks something inside you, please do me a huge favor, hit the like button, share it with friends who might need a reminder of their own power to create meaning, and subscribe if you haven't already. Join this growing community of seekers who aren't just waiting for answers, but actively shaping their lives. And if you feel inspired, the super thanks button below is a wonderful way to support this channel's mission to bring you content that matters. Your generosity makes a real difference. Living a meaningful life isn't a destination or a checklist. It's a dynamic, evolving journey. It involves embracing uncertainty, practicing mindfulness, and constantly choosing authenticity and contribution. It means turning inward with honesty and outward with empathy. It's a beautiful, challenging, and profoundly human quest, one we're all on together. Thank you so much for watching and being part of this conversation. I'm excited to continue exploring these topics with you in future videos. Until then, keep asking the big questions, keep seeking meaning, And remember, you have the power to create a life that truly matters. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, and if you're able, support with a super thanks. Every bit helps this channel grow and reach more people ready for meaningful change. See you in the next video.